Take it out and try it.
All right, I'll drive it. But I'll say it again. All we really need is basic transportation.
This is not basic transportation. An Oldsmobile Cutlass is a quality car. Sure, it's priced right. But do we really have to have all this sporty Cutlass style? Do we have to impress anybody? No. Do we have to have room for 6 people? And rocket V8 response? No. Do we have to have a car that rides this smooth and handles so ridiculously easy? Do we really have to have a Cutlass S? No. But I want it. I want it.
And it's all yours at a modest budget price. Cutlass S, bearing the General Motors mark of excellence at your Oldsmobile dealers now.
Oldsmobile, always a step ahead.
Hello everyone, this is Joseph here once again. Today, let's take an in-depth look at my 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass S trim. This will be a full, in-depth tour of the Cutlass S. We'll start it up, show the engine, and show you many of the features on the interior as well as the exterior. I did do a review on this vehicle last year. However, I feel like I need to revisit this vehicle and do a proper review. So, without further ado, I'm going to start this review off by talking about the Cutlass nameplate, going over the history of the Cutlass model, and then we'll discuss this vehicle in depth. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? The Oldsmobile Cutlass was a range of automobiles produced by General Motors' Oldsmobile division between 1961 and 1999. At its introduction, the Cutlass was Oldsmobile's smallest model. It began as a unibody compact car, but saw its greatest success as a body-on-frame intermediate coupe, sedan, and wagon. Introduced as the top-level trim in Oldsmobile's compact F85 line, the Cutlass evolved into a distinct series of its own, spawning numerous variants, including the formidable 442 muscle car in 1964, Premium Cutlass Supreme in 66, and the outright performance Hurst Olds in 1968, as well as the Vista Cruiser station wagon. By the 1980s, Oldsmobile was using the Cutlass as a submarque, with numerous vehicles lines bearing the same name simultaneously. This included the Cutlass Calais Compact, the midsize Cutlass Sierra, the Cutlass Custom Cruiser station wagon, and the top-of-the-line midsize Cutlass Supreme. The Cutlass was named after the type of sword which was common during the age of sail. The third generation, from 1968 to 1972. The F85 Cutlass underwent a major body restyling in 1968, as did all other GM A-body cars. Oldsmobile's was penned by styling studios headed by Stan Whelan. Two-door and four-door models now rode different wheelbases, 112 inches for the two-door and 116 inches for the four-doors. This change was to allow more individual styling, although several engineers were quoted off the record as saying the 115-inch wheelbase had created problems with uncomfortable freeway hop owing to its resonance frequency. Overall length shrunk about 2.6 inches, but curb weight rose approximately 75 pounds to 3,465 pounds. For the hardtop coupe, two-door F85 and Cutlass models adopted a semi-fastback Exterior. Base model remained the F85 with mid-level Cutlass S and upscale Cutlass Supreme, as well as the 442, which became a distinct model instead of an optioned package. A limited production model was the Hurst Olds Special 442, marketed by Oldsmobile and Hurst Performance. The high-output Hurst combined the 442 suspension package with a 455 cubic inch 7.5-liter rocket V8, not ordinarily offered in Cutlasses because of a GM policy limiting intermediates to engines of 400 cubic inches or 6.6 liters or less. Cutlass and Vista Cruiser station wagons were likewise redesigned. The F85 wagon was discontinued. Engine options were similar to the previous model year, although the Cutlass's V8 option was expanded to 350 cubic inches, 5.7 liter, still with both 2-barrel and 4-barrel carburation options. The variable pitch starter feature of both optional 2-speed jetway and 3-speed turbo hydromatic automatic transmissions was discontinued. In 1969, the F-85 Cutlass models received only minor trim changes from their 68 counterparts, such as a now Olds trademark split grille with vertical bars and vertical taillights. Per federal safety regulations, headrests were now standard equipment, and the ignition switch moved from the instrument panel to the steering column to lock the steering wheel when not in use. In common with all other 1969 model year GM cars, 1 year before the locking steering columns were federally mandated. Engine options were changed from 1968, but a new 3-speed turbo hydromatic 350 transmission was added to the option list and available with all versions of the 350 cubic inch 5.7-liter rocket V8, including the standard 2-barrel 350 and 4-barrel version ultra high compression, up to 310 horsepower, and the W351 option was available, conservatively rated at 325 horsepower.
Exterior.
In 1970, the F-85 and Cutlass was available in 7 different body styles. 3 of them were coupes, a pillared fastback sports coupe, a hardtop fastback holiday coupe, and finally a formal notchback holiday coupe only offered in the Cutlass Supreme trim. This practice was similar to that followed by the time by Ford and Mercury for their intermediates, which were offered in both notchback and fastback coupes starting in 1968. Also available were a 4-door hardtop holiday sedan, a 4-door town sedan, a convertible, a flat-top sedan wagon called the Custom Cruiser, as well as the fancier Vista Cruiser station wagon became available. Counting all trim level and body style premiations, Oldsmobile's 1970 lineup included 15 different intermediate models. With GM tossing out the 400 cubic inch limit for intermediates, the 442 now coming standard with a larger 455 cubic inch rocket V8 from the big Oldsmobile and previously used in the 1968-69 Hearst Olds discontinued the 400 engine entirely and also offered the 455 as an option in the Cutlass S models and the Vista Cruiser wagons. There was an SX option that became available in 1970 and was available only on the Cutlass Supreme hardtop and convertible. The SX models also had the 455 engine and the new TH400 automatic 4-speed. In 1971, the 71 model shared much of the same exterior sheet metal as the 70 configuration, but with a new hood, grille, and headlight assemblies, as well as a new bumper system and taillights. 4 new exterior body colors were offered: Viking Blue, Lime Green, Bittersweet, and Saturn Gold. The famous Rocket V8 continued in several different sizes and power options, with both the 455 and the small block 350 being available, with either 2 or 4-barrel carburetors. This was the last year for the 250 cubic inch 6-cylinder engine, as it had not been popular in an offering in the Oldsmobile Intermediates.
Exterior.
All engines were now fitted with hardened valve seats, preparing for the upcoming mandate for unleaded gasoline that took effect with the introduction of the catalytic converters on the 1975 models. The 1971 Oldsmobiles also featured lower compression ratios and designed to run on regular leaded, low lead, or unleaded gasoline with a research octane rating of 91 or higher, equivalent to 87 octane by today's octane measurements.
Now that we've discussed the Cutlass nameplate, let's take a look at mine. Again, this is a 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass S trim. It's painted in a saddle brown metallic exterior, paired with a coconut cream top vinyl and coconut vinyl interior with oak and hickory wood accenting throughout. Body by Fisher. This vehicle is based on the Chevelle A-frame. Very plush interior, sofa-like seats. And this particular unit has 117,704.7 miles. Almost 6.5 1/4, but still pretty close. So let's go on and start it up, shall we? Go on and roll the window down. Close the door so the buzzer doesn't bother you. Starts right up after a little bit of feathering of the gas pedal. Let it warm up for a moment. Fluid power steering. You can toss it back and forth. Trumpet horn. So, let's turn on the lights, as well as the hazards. We'll check out the exterior. This is the second to the last generation of the Cutlass on the Chevelle body. They produced the A-frame from 1968 to 1972. After 1972, the vehicle was redesigned on the Monte Carlo G body that went from 1973 up until about 1987 or 88. Radical changes occurred between 1968 to 1989. The body changed dramatically, but this body style was carried for about 4 years. Very muscular in design, but still refined to be a luxury vehicle as well. There were several different trim options available for the Cutlass, including the DX, the S, the W30, the 442, the Cutlass Supreme, and the Cutlass Supreme Brougham. Very muscular sounding vehicle as well. Cutlass logo. Chrome alloy rims. This is the Rally 350 style hubcaps. S trim badge. This badge is located throughout the vehicle. If it was a Cutlass Supreme, rather than saying Oldsmobile on this grille, it would have said Cutlass Supreme in 71. This is about middle of the road in terms of an Oldsmobile Cutlass. So, let's take a look at the engine, shall we? And I'll discuss the different available engine options for the Cutlass. This particular unit is powered by Oldsmobile's 350 2-barrel V8 engine. So 350, as I said, 2-barrel carburetor, mated to a 3-speed automatic transmission called a Hydroglide. A 3-speed manual was also available. The engine below this one would have been a 268 straight 6. The gold block, as I said, 350. The blue block would have been a 400 4-barrel 2-door coupe or 442. And then the red block in the Cutlass Supreme Brougham, Olds Tornado, and Olds 98 Regency would have been the 455 Super Rocket V8 with a 4-barrel and a 4-speed automatic. There was also a 350.5 red block that was built for racing, and a lot of the modifier vehicles that were built with the Cutlass 350 would have had the 350.5. It's a more unusual block, but it's basically a 350 with 442 heads. Great, reliable engines. So, let's take a look at the interior, shall we? Go on and turn off the hazards real quick, as well as the lights. Suede vinyl on the door pillar, as well as carpet on the bottom portions. Chrome hand crank window, manual adjustment driver's side mirror, manual door locks. As stated previously, it's a 3-speed automatic transmission. Has a low gear selection for second and low gear. Windshield wiper control on the left. You've also got your light switch and gauge dimmer. Simple to use climate control. You've got heat, defrost, vent, normal, and max AC. Aftermarket AM/FM radio. I do have the original radio in the back, which I will show you in a moment. But this is a Manivox AudioFox 50-watt speaker system with equalizer. Got a small ashtray with a cigarette lighter assembly. I usually keep mine disconnected because I use this as a power outlet, but you do have the original ashtray lighter. Small map light. Tinted so it doesn't blind the driver while the passenger is reading the map. Vinyl covered visor mirrors, or visors. Adjustable mirror. And then you have your shoulder harnesses for the front passengers on the passenger and driver side edge. It is a 3-seater, so you can sit 3 adults comfortably up front and 3 in the back. I'm going to go on and turn her off for a moment while we look at the rest of the interior of the vehicle. We'll start on the passenger, or excuse me, driver side rear seat, and then we'll move to the passenger side. There's a little latch on the front portion of the seat, and the seat folds forward. Back here you have a decent amount of legroom. It's not the best, but especially when the driver's seat is pulled all the way back, but it's better than nothing. One thing that's really nice about these cars is the windows completely fold down, giving you complete visibility as you're going down the road. And it looks great when the windows are down. Looks like a convertible top. Just as an example, that side's still rolled up. And you have this side down. Very plush rear seat. I'm about 5'7". The rear part of the headrest or headliner is a little bit lower on the rear, so tall people might bump their head a little bit in the back, but for small adults and kids, they should be riding around comfortably in luxury. Again, you can sit 3 people back here, but it is kind of tight. Small ashtray on both sides. So let's take a look at the other side, shall we? Again, a little latch pulls and the seat folds forward. Here's the exterior of the vehicle with the window rolled down. Got a waterfall Oldsmobile badge on the trunk. Cutlass logo. Passenger side is also fitted with the same fabric vinyl treatment and carpeting. Got the Fisher Body logo on both sides. Small glove box. Forgot your tire pressure monitoring when you used to use bias ply tires, and different checklist monitoring certificates. I'm going to roll the windows down today, at least for the moment. S badge. Very comfortable vehicle. I love driving this car. Again, very comfortable rear seat. A little cramped when you have the middle front bench slid back a little bit, but it's doable. So, why don't we take this old girl for a drive, shall we? I'll give you a ride of what it's like to ride in a Fisher Body vehicle. This car rides like an air mattress down the road. They're very comfortable, and they're very, very stylish. Let's go for a ride, shall we? AC blows ice cold. Very comfortable. About 80 degrees outside, and I'm nice and comfortable when this air conditioning is running. Oldsmobile Cutlass had several different body styles. The one you see here, the two-door coupe. They also had a four-door sedan, and then they had another model called the Cutlass Vista Cruiser, which was a estate station wagon. Surprisingly, the estate station wagon actually outlived a lot of the other vehicle configurations of the Cutlass. By 1990, the Oldsmobile Cutlass basically became a rebadged Chevrolet Impala. The station wagon, however, was still on a large tail body, which was configured on the Chevrolet Caprice Classic. UXW Bill has a Chevrolet Caprice Classic, and if you look it up on his YouTube channel, he actually has a small video about the Vista Cruiser when he spotted one in town. If I can find one of those vehicles to review, I will definitely do so. But by far, these old Fisher body cars ride like nothing else on the road. They just float and absorb every bump and crack without any problems whatsoever. The only hindrance with these vehicles being the Hydroglide 3-speed is they consume a lot more fuel when you're going down the road on the expressway. Sure, they may not have been as fuel efficient to begin with, but with a overdrive transmission, the engine isn't straining as hard to move the vehicle along. One thing you'll notice big time after driving modern day cars, these vehicles have very large noses, which was common back in the day, but now the only vehicles that have moderately sized noses are large sport utility vehicles and pickup trucks. To find a two-door coupe that can sit 6 adults and be as large as it is quite a unique thing to see these days. So let's see what that 350 sounds like, shall we? Creates 200 horsepower and 310 ounce-feet of torque. By 1983, the Oldsmobile 350 lost at least 75 horsepower and went down to around 175 horsepower and about 180 ounce-feet of torque. So you lost a little bit of power, but that was mainly due to strict ignition control systems that were being developed in the 1980s. The only thing restrictive on this particular vehicle is a catalytic converter and a small vacuum-assisted bellow on the air filter housing. I disconnected the one on the air filter housing, which gave me a little bit more power back. Still very responsive. You'll notice its weight though when you drive one of these vehicles. Even though it's very responsive in steering and throttle, it weighs close to 4,000 pounds. So going around a tight turn, you'll feel its weight. But compared to a lot of other big boats of its day, this thing is pretty small. Oldsmobile 98 Regency Brougham came in at almost 22 feet long and weighed close to 5,100 pounds. It was a little bit larger than a Chevrolet Suburban. Another large car from this era was the Buick Riviera GS. That car weighed 4,752 pounds in 1976, and it came with a 455 Wildcat V8. Also a very large vehicle. Moderately large turning circle, but not horrible. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked, be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. If you have a vehicle you would like to see toured, recommend it in the comments section below. I'm actually itching for people to comment that. I have been making a lot of videos on my own, but I still am open to suggestions. So if you got a car you want me to try and find and tour, I may not be able to test drive it, but I'll at least be able to do a in-depth review and history scoop. So I'll get some drive-by clips, and we'll wrap this video up. Thanks again for watching.